Hi everybody, and welcome to today's webinar from Greenstone and with our guest speaker today from SASB. So today we're going to be discussing the SASB standards and how they link to other ESG reporting frameworks. So I'm David Wynn, the Managing Director for North America at Greenstone, and we're joined today by Neil Stewart, who's the Director of Corporate Outreach for SASB. In today's 30 minutes, we've got quite a lot that we're going to be covering, but we do encourage you to send through questions. Some people have sent through questions in advance, which is great. So we'll look to try and cover those in the content today. You can use the GoToWebinar question section. So please do send through questions. We will be following up after today's webinar with an FAQ document and also any direct questions as well. So in terms of an agenda, we are going to be looking firstly at some key trends in the framework's landscape. So I'll be sort of setting the scene around some of the challenges that we're seeing in reporting and what's going on with the global frameworks, including looking at risks and opportunities. And then I'll be passing over to Neil, who's going to take us through the recent SASB and IIRC merger and what it means for reporting, and then get into a bit more detail around linkages with SASB and other frameworks. So welcome, Neil. I don't know if you want to give a short introduction as well.
Oh, thank you very much, David, and thanks to Greenstone for involving SASB in this. And just to give the very big picture to start, my role is as Director of Corporate Outreach is working with companies, building awareness, building understanding of the standards, and helping with implementation where needed. And for anyone who is not familiar with SASB, SASB is a global standard setter for ESG reporting. And what is a standard setter? It simply means that we define the topics and metrics to give companies and investors the language to really communicate about ESG performance. And I'll be happy to explain a little bit more of that later after you set the scene for us, David.
Great, thanks, Neil. Wonderful. Yeah, so as I say, please do send through any questions that you have as we go through today's webinar. So just a brief introduction to Greenstone for anybody who's not familiar. We're a sustainability software company, so we provide software solutions to businesses to help them better manage their sustainability data and enable being a responsible business through different solutions. So enterprise level data aggregation, through the supply chain in our supplier portal product, and also for private equity investors through Investor Portal that enables them to gather data from their portfolios. So in addition to our SASB Inside accreditation, we also are CDP Gold and GRI accredited software solution provider. So really it's my job to sort of set the scene on some of the key trends in the sustainability framework landscape. Not an easy job given the speed and the amount of things that are happening within sustainability reporting. I've had to update these slides numerous times already this week in terms of things that are announced and released. But just to pick up on some of the key trends and put these into sort of 5 topics in terms of what we're seeing in the landscape. First and foremost, COVID. So from a sustainability reporting perspective, it's really now that organizations are starting to think about how to communicate the impacts of 2020 within their sustainability reports. And that's both with a materiality lens in terms of topics, but also from a practical data perspective as well, and how do they actually collect data and information. So trends-wise, I don't need to tell you, but COVID's been something of a global reset in terms of reporting. We've got trends around companies looking at reflecting, restructuring, rebuilding, and then even sort of looking at a wider understanding of supply and origin, redefining corporate purpose, and then more specifically things like working from home emissions. So it's really driving a lot of the sustainability agenda in terms of the kind of content of reporting at the moment.